Just a quick update, the Patreon page is now live. The link will be down below if you want to check it out. You'll have access to all of my betting packages and much more. Thanks again for all the support, but for now, let's get into the video. What's up, guys? We're back. We're going to be doing another UFC Fight Night full card breakdown. This week it's Uriah taking on Strickland. Important fight for the middleweight division, but before we get into that, like always, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsors for this video. The first sponsor is going to be EquitySportsAnalytics.com. It's one of the best handicapping services in the world. It's a really good group of guys that put a lot of work into giving you the best bets they could do. They really, break down the math, and they do a good job with analytics and very transparent. They are plus 62 units this year, so if you're betting $100 a bet, you're up almost $6,000. Not this year, excuse me. It's from March to July. So just in that little 4-month period, they're up almost 10 grand. So definitely feel like it would be worth it if you bought the service. If you're making that kind of money, and their minimum goal profit for the year is 96 units. So they're giving you a pretty good minimum profit, almost $10,000. I know they have membership packages you could take a look at, see what you'd want to do if you wanted to check it out. And they also have a free trial going on right now along with the dividend program. So like always, they're going to always pay you $25 per unit lost if they lose money over a 2-week period. So you will be getting some sort of payback even if they have a couple of down weeks as well. So definitely check them out, man. I really think they do a great job. EquitySportsAnalytics.com. Friends don't let friends gamble without math. Great website right there. And then up next here, we got the Get Fanatics Fantasy MMA app. This is, once again, an app where you can go on, you can give all your picks, and it's based off the Vegas odds. So you could see what you would do, full card, how much money you would have made, how much money you would have lost based on your picks. You could, check it out and predict fights for one championship. I'll show you guys right here. So this is the one championship card. Let's say I wanted to pick Ong right here. So I pick him. You could pick him by KO, submission, or decision. Let's say I think he's going to get a knockout. Triple or nothing odds. So right now the odds are minus 155. You triple that. That's how much you would win on the pick that you have. If you just pick it with no method, then you're going to be just getting the 155 odds. So basically they do a $100 bet, almost $65 basically. So that's kind of how it works. They also have Bellator as well. They have Bellator 263 coming up. Pitbull versus AJ McKee. That's obviously a great card. Mads Burnell, Manny Sanchez. They got Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Manny Murrow. Brent Primus, former champ. So you can make all these picks as well. See how you stack up against my group, the MMA Prediction Guru group, or they have MMA Twitter group. They have world rankings, so there's definitely a lot of things that they have on here that are pretty cool. They have some stats for the fighters, so it's a really cool website, really cool app. You could check it out online in the description that I give, or you could check it out on the App Store on your phone. So big shout out to these guys in the top 10 as well, like Ricardo Weber. We got Aaron Harkey, Swolja Boy, Rocket Sports, Bonsai. Robert LaFrancos, we got Mikey C, Mikey Do, Nick Sabatello, Shine X, Ron Blair. Big shout out to all you guys. You guys are killing it, and keep it up. If like always, like I said, if you join the Fanatics Fantasy MMA group, and we're going to be doing a contest. So whoever gets the most money at the end of the year versus the Vegas odds, they're going to be winning $100. Courtesy of the Get Fanatics Fantasy MMA, the Fanatics Fantasy MMA app, courtesy of the MMA Prediction Guru YouTube channel. So whoever wins that will get a big shout out. They'll get their $100, and so there's still time. There's still a lot of months left in the year. You can go on a big heater and end up in first place. So definitely would recommend you guys signing up with the link in the description. Sign up to my group if you have the most money at the end of the year on the app, on the website. Then you're going to be getting $100. So definitely think it's something you should do. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. So definitely check it out. Big shout out to the Fanatics Fantasy MMA app. And really appreciate both those guys sponsoring the channel. But I know you guys are here for the predictions, and that's what we're about to give you. So here's the first fight of the night. Orion Kosi taking on Phil Rowe. Interesting fight. It's a fight of a guy in Orion Kosi who's undefeated. He's making his anticipated UFC debut. He had a pretty long layoff now following his win on the Contender Series. He was actually scheduled to face Niklas Dalby last year, so that kind of shows you what the UFC thinks of him, because Niklas Dalby is not an easy first fight in the UFC. But he suffered a shoulder injury. It took him out for a while. And he's been asking for a fight since February, I've seen. So I'm sure, he's been training. He's in good shape coming into this fight. And he needs to avenge his family name a little bit, get the win his brother could not get in his UFC debut. But, I would say he's the brother that's further along in his development, because Kosi's last match was against a fairly high-level opponent, considering where it was on the Contender Series in Matt Dixon. And Kosi was able to win pretty easily. He doesn't really have a ton of footage online, but you can find some fights. You could find his debut fight against Izzy Williams, Izzy Williams, a guy that fought in Bellator, is a decent regional scene fighter, and Kosi was able to land a really nice, right cross counter that put William down and finished him with really good ground and pound, big elbows. He has the touch of death in his hands, man. Big knockout power. He has really nice pull counter, lead right crosses, and his left hook is pretty nice. And Kosi is good at pressuring, backing his opponents up, forcing them to fight in a phone booth. And when he gets guys back against the cage, that's where he explodes in with his combinations, where he's the most dangerous. He was able to wear down Matt Dixon in his last fight and finished him in the third round, so showed that, his cardio checked out, at least in that spot. He isn't a super technical striker, but he's fast, he's explosive, he's powerful, and he will pressure, he can take damage, so he's durable as well. He has 6 knockouts. He's a guy that you definitely have to be weary of on the feet. You don't want to get hit by this guy. And he's a physical fighter. He's very explosive. He's strong for the division. He's a former high school wrestler, and he will mix it up. He likes to back fighters up in the clinch, put him against the cage. And he has a good short-range power. He'll attack with big elbows, short hooks, uppercuts. His wrestling in MMA hasn't really shown to be extremely effective, I've noticed, but he does like to get clinch takedowns. He has a good body lock. He will go for some head and arm throws. More often than not, though, he does tend to hurt guys and then get on top of them, or force them to shoot in on him, defend the takedown, and then get on top. And when he can get on top, he's super aggressive with his ground and pound. He'll load up and try to take fighters' heads off with elbows, with punches. And that kind of does negate his top control. His top control isn't the best. Sometimes he can just get way too overeager, give up position. His jiu-jitsu and just composure, I feel, needs a little bit of work. And he did get taken down in another fight I watched against Joe Cropshaw, who seemed like a decent grappler. And I do think that he was letting Cropshaw mount him and get into dominant positions because he felt he was going to be able to explode in reverse. But it did get him in some dangerous spots. He had his back taken. He got threatened with rear naked chokes, and he was able to defend all that. Eventually, scramble, get on top, and he's good at creating scrambles. He's hard to hold down. You saw that in his fight with Matt Dixon. And in that fight, I do feel like he looked better off of his back. He was a little bit more calm. He was able to, scoot his back to the cage and able to use that to get up a couple times. And one thing about Kosi, like I said, is he does have the cardio and he can push a good pace. And he didn't get tired at all in that last fight. In the third round, he was clearly the fighter with more gas in the tank. Was able to hit a double leg takedown on Dixon, who early on when they were both fresh was the better wrestler. And once he got Dixon on the ground, he just finished the fight with ground and pound. He's a good prospect. I feel like he's a very mentally and physically tough guy. So he definitely seems like someone that you want to watch, see what he's going to do moving forward. He's been training at Team Alpha Male, and Team Alpha Male's been on a big run lately. I know they kind of were left for dead a little bit in the past, but recently, they've been getting some wins. Even last week, a couple of those wins are a little bit, I didn't agree with some of the decisions, but, they got him done, and, Kosi's going to try to carry that momentum. But Phil Rowe, he needs a win here. He dropped his debut in February. Came up short against Gabe Green. It was a close fight, though. It was kind of 50-50 who won, but Phil Rowe was on the wrong side of the decision there. And he's a good fighter. He has a good personality outside the cage and inside the cage. He likes to talk a little bit. So if he could put some wins together, I could see him kind of making a bit of a name for himself or getting kind of some buzz. But he just needs to rack up the wins and improve his skill set. He has some skill on the feet, and he's obviously tricky. I mean, he's 6'3". He has an 80.5-inch reach. He almost has a 10-inch reach advantage on Orion Kosi, and he has pretty good boxing as well. He has fast hands, he'll throw nice 1-2s, good left and right hooks, and he has some pop. He's going to be at a power disadvantage in this fight with Kosi, but his technique is much better. He's going to need to use his reach, his speed, his movement, try to, cut angles, stay out of exchanges, keep his back off the cage. Just touch and move. Rowe likes to attack with knees to the body. He did struggle with leg kicks in his last fight. He tried to play it off, but by the third round, he was really struggling with his movement. And I also think Rowe doesn't really like being hit too much. He gives big reactions when he gets touched. Sometimes the fighters just pressure Rowe to the cage. He shells up, doesn't really show good posture. He's tough, though. He will stay in there, and he proved that in his fight with Gabe Green and Leon Chabazian. In this fight, at range, Rowe's going to be the superior fighter. He has more technical boxing. He has a big reach advantage. And it's just going to come down to if he can keep Kosi off of him, if he can keep his back off the cage, and just stay at his range. He does have 3 knockouts, and he's been finished by strikes 1 time. But I don't know if he has the power necessarily to keep Kosi off him for 3 rounds. So it's going to be interesting. He's going to have cardio and really good movement in this one. And he's a tricky grappler. He isn't really a wrestler. His defensive wrestling is not good either. Seems a bit weak in the clinches. We saw Gabe Green had a lot of success controlling him against the cage, taking him down. Leon Chabazian also got a pretty easy body lock takedown on Rowe. And I anticipate Orion Kosi is going to have seen that, tried to live in the clinch in this one, dirty box, shooting on the legs of Rowe is a little bit is a little bit more dangerous. So that's why I think he's going to want to, get in the clinch, hold him against the cage, dirty box, because Rowe does have good guillotine, and he's a good no-gi grappler. He competes pretty regularly on the jiu-jitsu scene, and he has some good sweeps off his back. He showed that against Gabe Green. And on top, he has pretty good top control, fluid passing ability. He looked good against Gabe Green. In my opinion, he won most of those grappling exchanges. He's most dangerous when he can get the back, look for that rear naked choke. And in his last fight, he was able to catch a kick at a takedown in the 3rd round, and it looked like he was on way to winning the 3rd round and winning the fight because it was 1-1. He was in mount for over a minute of the round. He had some dominant positions, but just didn't let much offense go. It seemed like he let those positions go to waste. And when Gabe Green was able to get back up to his feet, Green landed a shot, dropped Phil Rowe, and kind of stole the fight. I would say overall, Rowe did get the better of the grappling exchanges, like I said. And in this fight, he probably is the superior jiu-jitsu guy, but I don't know if he wants to necessarily be on bottom against a guy like Orion Kosi. Phil Rowe does have pretty decent cardio. If these guys strike, I do favor Rowe probably, like if they're just striking at range. Kosi's still a bit green. He holds his lead hand really low, and I think the jab, the 1-2, could be popping for Rowe. But Kosi has that eraser, though, man, the big right hand. And we've seen Rowe rocked in multiple fights, and also he's been put out before. Kosi will look for hard low kicks as well. Even if his kicks aren't pretty, if he lands a couple hard ones, it could make a difference. Overall, though, Rowe is faster. He has the boxing and movement advantage. And Kosi's a Terminator, though. He's very durable. He's confident right now. He's never been finished. He's undefeated. He marches guys down, and I see him wanting to close that distance, live in the clinch, like I said, hold him against the cage, dirty box. He's going to have a big strength advantage, good wrestling advantage, and if they go to the ground, it's going to be interesting, but I do have faith Kosi is going to be able to stay heavy on top, work his ground and pound more than I do Rowe getting the submission or sweep. And cardio, I do think Kosi is going to be able to hold up, and I also just think Kosi's going to be the guy that wants it more. I know Phil Rowe wants it, but I don't know. I feel like Kosi's a guy that really is 100% invested in the fight game, and he's going to be ready to go. And I don't know if I'd be necessarily that confident with the odds on a guy like Kosi right now, if it's like a -190, but I do see that the odds are dropping on him. So, if it gets to a situation where the line is pretty close, maybe Kosi wouldn't be the worst play in the world, but you're betting on a guy there that is a little bit green, hasn't showed you a lot at the highest level, so it could potentially turn into an issue. So I would probably, lean towards passing on that one, but the pick for me is going to be Orion Kosi. Man, why this is the second fight of the night, I'll never know, but two great fighters, man. Trevin Jones, Ronnie Lawrence, two guys that are going to be in the bantamweight division for a while, in my opinion, that are going to make some noise. And, Ronnie Lawrence, man, he had an excellent entrance in the UFC. He dominated Vince Cachero, put on a grappling clinic, got a ton of takedowns, ultimately got that finish with ground and pound in the 3rd round. And he's getting a pretty big opportunity here due to being willing to step up on short notice, because to me, Trevin Jones, he's knocked out 2 top 25 bantamweights in Mario Batista and Timur Valiev. He could easily be fighting a top 15 opponent here. Instead, Lawrence, who has 1 win in the promotion against someone not even in the top 50 probably in Vince Guerrero, is getting this opportunity. So if Lawrence wins, especially impressively, he's going to shoot up the rankings. And Trevin Jones, his career could not have started any better. He's gone in there as an underdog both of his UFC fights and ended up getting big knockout finishes. And he's going to continue his quest to prove, he's going to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, because he already has a knockout win over a beast in Timur Valiev on 3 days' notice. Now he's matching up with Ronnie Lawrence, who's a guy that probably not a lot of fighters want to see after his first performance in the UFC. And this is the 3rd opponent that Trevin Jones has accepted for this date. So he's very confident. He's ready to go, and he's going to accept anyone and try to get the win. When you look at both these guys, though, they do kind of have different styles. We got Ronnie Lawrence, who's kind of, he's more dynamic in my opinion in terms of there's a lot of spins, he's moving a lot, good in and out movement. He, goes for a lot of takedowns, mixes it up, high volume. Whereas Trevin Jones, he's more basic. He's a counter striker, keeps it tight, keeps it, technical, but has big knockout power. And, can grapple a little bit as well. He's a black belt. He trains at Extreme Couture. Pretty big physical guy for the division. And Trevin Jones is southpaw, so that's something that does, give guys some, problems. He will switch stances as well. He throws some nice leg kicks, and I'm pretty impressed with, his counter hooks. He has really good counters. He has fast hand combinations, and he needs to really just try to time the leg kicks of Lawrence or just the body kicks. Sometimes Lawrence will throw some kicks too close, throw some naked kicks with his hands down. And he needs to try to pressure a little bit more, maybe try to back Lawrence up and just get him in as many exchanges with the hands as he can, because that's where he's going to have an advantage. He's going to have a lot better boxing. He's better in the pocket. His defensive boxing is better. But Ronnie Lawrence, he's going to be moving on the outside. He's going to be using a lot of angles. He's going to be switching stances, throwing a lot of kicks. I think the leg kicks from Ronnie Lawrence could potentially be a factor. And I also feel like Ronnie Lawrence is just going to be able to hit the takedowns, man, because I've seen Trevin Jones taken down and controlled in certain fights, held down a little bit, and fighters that I don't think are as good as Ronnie Lawrence at setting up the takedown are able to get in on him and take him down pretty easily. One thing about Trevin Jones is he does have good get-ups, and he also has good scrambling ability, and he will look to mix it up himself. So Trevin Jones, if he gets on top of Ronnie Lawrence, is dangerous. He has good submission game, he has good ground and pound, and Lawrence needs to avoid getting put on bottom. But if he's on top of Trevin Jones, and early on, I feel like the takedown is going to be pretty pivotal. I feel like he needs to use his kicks, kind of get Trevin Jones to overextend a little bit or just open up, shoot that takedown, get on top, control a little bit, get Trevin Jones thinking about that in the back of his head, and then that'll kind of limit his counter punching ability. I think it'll limit just kind of his want to come forward. And Trevin Jones is already low volume as it is. A lot of his losses are close split decision losses in fights where he just didn't pull the trigger. And in this fight with Trevin Jones, I don't think that Ronnie Lawrence is going to give Trevin Jones that pocket fight. I don't think he's going to be staying there with him, in that boxing range. He's going to be in and out. He's going to be looking to go up, down with the takedown, GSP style. And I feel like that's going to give Trevin Jones a lot of issues. And I like Trevin Jones, man. I actually, we bet on him. I gave you guys the advice as well to bet on him against Mario Batista. He cashes a pretty big underdog, and anytime you cash a big underdog ticket on someone, you kind of want to go back to the well, especially when they're an underdog again. They were underdog in their debut, so Trevin Jones has been doing well in this underdog role. But against Ronnie Lawrence, it's all about kind of the type of fighter that you're fighting. I think Lawrence, another thing he could do is attack the body, because we have seen Trevin Jones is kind of weak to that area. He's a very tough guy, but he is kind of weak to the body. I've seen not even just the Valiev fight. I've seen another fight as well where he got touched to the body a little bit. And I just feel like Lawrence is a little bit, his game is a little bit better to win a decision or to win a longer fight. Trevin Jones, he needs that knockout, man, because he's so low volume. I feel like unless he can just time that finish on a guy like Ronnie Lawrence, that it's not going to happen for him. And I feel like Lawrence is going to be able to do his thing in there. He's going to be able to cut angles, get Jones a little bit frustrated with his kicking game, hit some takedowns, and just keep Jones off balance, keep him thinking and doesn't give him the chance to hit that counter knockout shot or to get on top, try to hit a submission. And I feel like Lawrence will get it done. So give me Ronnie Lawrence in this one to get the win. In this next one, we got Ashley Yoder. She's going to be taking on Genu Frey. And Yoder, she's making her 10th UFC appearance. So at this point, she's one of the most tenured strawweights on the roster. Obviously, she hasn't had a lot of success. She's 3-6, but she has fought some of the better girls in the division. And in her last fight, she didn't look very good against Angela Hill. It seemed like she was kind of stuck in the mud. And she did state that the double weight cut, where they did have to cut weight, I believe, twice in 3 weeks, something like that, due to a COVID issue, affected her performance. So hopefully she looks a little bit better here. And Genu Frey, she finally got her first UFC win. She had 15 pro MMA fights. Before that, she had a solid career as an atomweight outside the UFC, and it kind of looked like Frey may never get that UFC win. She went 0-2 to start her tenure, and she was an underdog, pretty big underdog to Gloria, to Paula. Went in there, put it all together, saved her job, and now she's going to be looking to build some momentum, take out a veteran like Ashley Yoder. And I actually, picked Genu Frey as well, her last fight against Gloria DePaula, and she got the win exactly how I thought she would have gotten the win, because Gloria DePaula just has that glaring hole in her game in terms of takedown defense. And in this one, it's a much different matchup. I mean, we've all seen Ashley Yoder enough to know her style. She's a long, awkward southpaw, kind of a hesitant striker, puts the jab out there. But I do feel like, when she throws that left hand, she does land it pretty effectively. She needs to kind of, in my opinion, let her shots go a little bit more. But at this point in her career, I don't really think that that's going to really happen. But her main objective is to get the fight to the ground in any way possible. She doesn't really care. She ends up on her back. She just wants to use her long, lanky frame, get in awkward scrambles where she's really good at ending up winning those scrambles. She can almost use her legs like arms, and just makes her very awkward. She's also just long for the division. She's going to have a 4-inch height advantage, 4.5-inch reach advantage in this fight. And she's just going to have a size advantage overall where, we have girl in Frey who's a former atomweight. So Genu Frey, though, she is going to be the better athlete, and she might even be physically stronger. I mean, Genu Frey is a pretty strong, well-built girl. And her striking is significantly better than a girl like Ashley Yoder. I mean, she's southpaw. She has some pretty good leg kicks. I feel like that's going to be a big factor in this fight, because it's that southpaw to southpaw look. I think that Frey is going to be really looking to throw those leg kicks early and often. And her straight left-right hook combo is pretty good. Her left hand is definitely her best punch. But Frey can definitely be very low volume, robotic. She can be predictable. And her movement just isn't that good. So a lot of her fights do end up kind of being grappling fights, ended up being in the clinch, things like that. And she is very good in the clinch. I mean, she's strong. She has good elbows, good knees. And in her last fight, she showed that ability to get that, takedown from the clinch, where I feel like maybe against Ashley Yoder, a lot of girls don't do this against Yoder, and it obviously is because of her scrambling ability off bottom. But if you watch some of her fights, for instance, against a girl like Amanda Bobby Cooper, against girls like Randa Marcos, there is opportunities to, take Yoder down, put her on her back, get into a, heavy full guard, sit in half guard, try to just stay tight. You can control her and, land some ground and pound, get some points off right there. Because I just don't know Frey, to be honest. I feel like this fight's going to be won by, who wins in the clinch, or if Frey could just stop that takedown of Ashley Yoder, because I think that, Frey doesn't really have the striking capability to keep Yoder off of her, especially with Yoder having the height and reach advantage. I think Yoder, very durable. She's going to be able to eat the shots of Frey, back her to the cage, make it kind of a clinch war. And from there, it's just going to be, a battle of wills, who wants it more, who's going to be the better grappler in that type of fight. And one thing I didn't really like in Genu Frey's fight with Kay Hansen is, Kay Hansen was able to, get into that position. I can't exactly remember how she got the armbar, but I remember it was kind of like a weird scramble. It might have been from side control. I can't remember right now, but there was like a weird scramble, and then Kay Hansen hit the armbar, and that's something that Ashley Yoder thrives on, just getting in these awkward scrambles, getting into a position, and then having, ability to attack a submission, either a rear naked choke, an arm lock. So I feel like Yoder actually does have a chance to get a submission in this fight, which probably is pretty decent odds betting-wise. And I just think Yoder is going to be able to get it done. We got Genu Frey. She's 36 years old. She got that big win in the UFC. I feel like that, might have been her hoorah, because I think that with Yoder, she's not going to have the ability to take down Yoder and control her, kind of stall the fight. On the feet, I think that she may be the better striker, but Yoder's going to push the pace, push back Frey, and kind of force a grappling match. And I just feel like Yoder's going to be able to win the scrambles, be a little bit superior in that type of fight. So I actually do think Yoder is live for a submission as well, which usually I don't really see Yoder getting wins, getting submissions. But this one, I do think it's possible. I am going to pick Yoder, but it's not like this is one of my more confident picks on the card. It's obviously a low-level women's fight. Yoder does not have a good pedigree in the UFC, but I think she has enough to get it done here against a girl like Genu Frey. So give me Ashley Yoder in this one to pick up the win. This is good matchmaking right here with Danny Chavez taking on Kai Kamaka. Two bangers, man. I mean, one thing about Kai Kamaka, his three UFC fights, if you haven't watched them, go back and watch them, man. They're all freaking amazing fights. His fight with Tony Kelly, back and forth war. Kamaka was able to get the win. Even his fight with Jonathan Pierce, so it was back and forth. Pierce kind of broke Kamaka, finished him in the second round. And then his last fight, he had an awesome fight with TJ Brown, man. One of the best fights of the year so far. And in my opinion, he was on, the bad side of one of the worst decisions we've seen in a while, man. I definitely thought Kai Kamaka deserved that win against TJ Brown. But, it is what it is. So he's lost 2 fights in a row. He is 26 years old. He's training over there at Extreme Couture. He's one of those Hawaiians that are training out there and definitely getting good training. He fights out of a fighting family, so obviously, this is in his blood, and he's going to be, trying to get better every time out. I feel like that loss where, he probably felt it was a win, probably really, motivated him a lot to improve and get better in this fight camp. But he's going to be taking on Danny Chavez, and he is jumping in here on short notice, so he has done that a couple times. He did that against Jonathan Pierce and kind of got a little bit tired, so hopefully he's in tip-top shape. He's ready to go. But Danny Chavez, he's someone that came into the UFC. He actually fought TJ Brown as well and was very successful in that fight. Dominated TJ Brown with his striking, looked really good. And he had a lot of people hyped up. A lot of people bet on him in his next fight against Jared Gordon. But Jared Gordon was able to go in there and give him that vet lesson, man. He was able to even kind of win on the feet against Chavez, and then in the second and third round, once he got Chavez thinking about his hands, took him down, controlled him on the ground, and Chavez kind of, just lost that fight pretty easily. Jared Gordon kind of dominated him. One thing, though, is Gordon did come in there, I think 3.5 pounds over, so that obviously probably played a factor in the fight. But this is a good one because we got Danny Chavez, who's really slick. He's a southpaw. He, has fast hands, good counters, and he has a really nice low calf kick. But, against TJ Brown, it was really there for him because of that southpaw versus southpaw look. He chopped TJ Brown's leg and really gave him a lot of issues. In his fight with Jared Gordon, he didn't really have that same success with the low kicks with the different look. And one thing about Danny Chavez, even though he gives good low kicks, he doesn't check kicks himself. So that's something that he does struggle with a bit. And Kai Kamaka probably will be looking to throw some low kicks of his own. So I think both guys may be looking to chop each other's legs, but don't know how big of a game plan that'll be because of the stance. But, I feel like Chavez, obviously, he's going to want to snipe, keep it at distance, not try to get in these extended combinations because Chavez, he does, or he's willing to get in these wars. He will get in some brawls. But I feel like he's at his best when he can just snipe, forward pressure, try to counter with that straight left hand, get guys hesitant, use his 3-2, and just kind of use that combination, stay sharp, use his fast hands. And he does that pop in that left hand. So if guys kind of start to overextend a little bit or really try to rush him. He could slip it in there and really hurt people. He'll look for that switch high kick, and he's gotten a couple head kick knockouts with that as well, so he's dangerous with that. But Chavez, one thing he does do is he definitely slows down, and his style of, hands low, kind of playing that pull counter game with this straight left hand, when he gets tired, he can get a lot more hittable. He'll also back himself up to the cage and kind of really limit his movement, and that's where guys can kind of land some nice shots on him. I feel like Chavez has a good chin, but he does have some big reactions to taking shots at times, like we saw in his fight with Jared Gordon. And I feel like Kai Kamaka is the better technical striker. He also is really good at ripping the body. Kai Kamaka wants to be more inside fighting, trying to trade in the pocket. He has really tight hooks. He does have some nice straight shots, good kicks from the outside, but he more wants to get in your chest, attack the body, go back up to the head, use combinations. He has a really good chin. He obviously is Hawaiian. They got that fighting spirit. And I feel like his cardio is better and his volume is definitely a lot better. So with this fight, I think Kamaka is going to try to mix it up as well, hit the takedowns, because we saw Danny Chavez. He's actually a really good defensive grappler. He has good takedown defense, and he is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Early on, he's really hard to take down. He's hard to hold down, but if you could start mixing in your takedowns with into your boxing combinations, you can get him down, especially as the fight goes on. And once you have him on his back and he's a little bit tired, he will accept bottom position, just kind of hang out, lose the decision, and that's kind of what happened in his fight with Jared Gordon. So I'm sure in this one he's going to be maybe trying to be a little bit more offensive, trying to let go a little bit more, pressuring a little bit more, not letting himself be so kind of stagnant. But I think Kai Kamaka is just kind of a bad style for Danny Chavez, because he's a guy that can mix it up, can grapple, that has pretty good boxing himself, good movement. He's not going to just be kind of stuck on the outside, not able to compete with Chavez's speed, in my opinion. So I think he's going to be able to make it more of his fight. He's also durable, and I think when he pushes that pace, attacks the body, gets Chavez to have to, be in these longer, kind of fire combinations, I think that's where Kai Kamaka is going to start to take over the fight, land some big shots, maybe hit a takedown, control on top, and pull away here. So I'm going to go with Kai Kamaka the third to pick up a win. This will be his second win in a row in my eyes, even though he has a loss. So it's interesting. I think either guy has a chance to win. It's a close money line type of fight, but I feel like Kamaka, his style is a little bit better. I feel like he has a little bit more. He's more of a complete fighter. And, he's willing to push a little bit more. His cardio is a little bit better. Chavez, he got in the UFC a little bit late. This is his third UFC fight. He's already 34 years old. So it's make or break for him as well. But I'm going to go with Kai Kamaka in this one. Up next here, we got a lightweight fight. We got Chris Gruetzemacher taking on Rafa Garcia. And Rafa Garcia, he's making his return and looking to turn the page from that first career loss he had last time out in March. And he got thrown in there with the top guy, Nasrat Haqparast. It was short notice, and, there's no shame in that loss at all. He's 26 years old, 9 years younger than Gruetzemacher. And in my opinion, he's also, in a better training situation. He's been training with Trevor Whitman at Elevation Fight Team. He, has been training also as well at RVCA with TJ Dillashaw and all those fighters over there. And I've noticed that Chris Gruetzemacher, he returned from his 2-year, 5-month layoff, and it didn't really go so well for him against Alex Hernandez. He got finished in 1 minute, 46 seconds. And, now he's getting an easier fight on paper, a 0-1 guy. But I don't know who Chris Gruetzemacher is training with. I've seen that he's been training in North Carolina for this fight. And he's, maybe training at Gym O. I don't know. That's the only gym that I know that has some high-level guys for, that are in the UFC in North Carolina that I could think of currently. But, in this fight, there's two guys that have a similar style, in my opinion. We got two little tanks, come forward, have good cardio, stay in your face, try to counter punch, try to use some low kicks, and they mix it up and can grapple a little bit. But the difference is, I feel like it's just, the trajectory of these guys' careers and the time of where they're at. I don't necessarily think, Rafa Garcia is going to become, a top 10 guy or anything, but he's someone that, in my opinion, right now is super motivated. He's 26 years old. He has a great gas tank. He has really good durability right now. He comes forward. His last fight, he showed that his hand speed is really good. It's improving. He has really sharp counters, and he can mix it up. He will try to wrestle. He stays to his game plan. He doesn't get discouraged. He beats up the body. And Chris Gruetzemacher, he hasn't won a fight in almost 3 years, and he also used to have that same style where he'd come forward, pick at you. I don't think he ever had the same type of speed or even power, or just kind of, I think Garcia is just a superior athlete, but Gruetzemacher, he has some decent boxing. He was able to kind of piece up Joe Lozon, defend his takedowns, keep it on the feet, and then, Joe Lozon had to retire on a stool. He took a lot of damage in that fight with Gruetzemacher. That was Gruetzemacher's last win. But you see fighters that are explosive, that come forward with hooks or with combinations and will try to mix it up, can take down Chris Gruetzemacher, and they can land on him. He used to be very durable. He used to be able to eat a lot of damage, but his last fight with Hernandez, he got knocked out in about a minute. And I don't necessarily think that's going to happen here with Garcia, because obviously Alexander Hernandez is a power puncher. He's a guy that uses a lot of movement, and it was just a harder matchup, in my opinion, than this one for Chris Gruetzemacher. This fight, I think it's going to be competitive when it first starts because, like I said, they have a similar style. They're probably going to meet in the middle, and both are going to get hit with some shots because Garcia is a hittable guy in his own right. But I think Garcia is going to start to pick away at Chris Gruetzemacher. You're going to see Gruetzemacher maybe have some physical damage on his face or just kind of start to look worn down a little bit. And I think Garcia is going to just pull away. I think that he just wants it more. He's going to be in there kind of pushing the pace. I think he's going to have the faster punches and the better boxing, just being a little bit sharper. And I do think he could hit some takedowns, mix it up, get on top, or at least control against the cage, slow the fight down. And I feel like he's not going to get tired. Chris Gruetzemacher isn't going to break a guy like Garcia. And I think Garcia is a pretty safe bet to get the win. So give me Rafa Garcia to pick up the victory here over Chris Gruetzemacher. Moving along here, we got another featherweight fight with Collin Anglin taking on Melsik Baghdasaryan. Two Dana White Contender Series guys. They're going to be making their UFC debut against each other. Melsik Baghdasaryan, he's another one of these Armenian fighters from Glendale Fighting Systems over there with Edmund Shabazian, with Coach Edmund. And much like the others, he's a high-level striker. He began training karate at age 6. He transitioned to kickboxing, Muay Thai, became a kickboxing world champion, competed in Glory. And he began his MMA career in 2014. And, he got a submission loss, but then he returned in 2019 after a lot of kickboxing fights, after some boxing fights, some Muay Thai fights, and he's earned 5 wins since then. He got 4 knockout wins in under a minute, and then he proved he could take out a higher level opponent in a longer fight where he defeated Dennis Bazooka via decision on the Dana White Contender Series. And Baghdasaryan, he's an explosive guy. He's a southpaw. There's a lot of southpaws on this card. And Baghdasaryan, he has some technical striking. He has a really good right hook, left cross. His left cross is his best punch. He throws it early and often. Really good hand speed. He has big power, rips the body. He does a good job attacking the body with a lot of hooks, front kicks, round kicks. I really like the way he attacks the body early and often. Throws a huge amount of volume early. Really tries to overwhelm guys. And he can strike in all areas. In the clinch, he's dangerous. He has good elbows, good knees. He will slow down significantly, though, after the first round. His output drops a lot. And you saw that in his fight with Bazooka. You also saw that he did have the ability to dig deep to get that win in that third round. So it's not like he's just dead after the first 2 rounds. But, he definitely slows down significantly after that first round. Grappling-wise, Melsik's grappling really hasn't been tested too much. He did get submitted in his MMA debut, but that was 7 years ago. Then he obviously came back, got 4 finishes in under a minute. There was no grappling in any of those fights. And against Dennis Bazooka, he was taken down a couple of times. He got, his takedown defense, in my opinion, looked a little bit weak. And he showed some decent get-ups. In the clinch, he does do a good job of doing damage and making opponents pay. But, Bazooka wasn't really ever able to get any meaningful top control time, but he did, get some clinch control time. He got close on an armbar in the third round, and Dennis is more of a striker in his fights. So Anglin is definitely going to be a better indicator of where Melsik's grappling is at. If Baghdasaryan can keep this fight standing, he's likely going to be able to get the win. But Collin Anglin, he earned his UFC opportunity here off of off the back of an upset victory on the Contender Series. He was a 3-1 underdog almost, basically against Muhammad Naimov. And he was able to dog out a tough decision victory. I actually picked Collin Anglin to get the win in that fight, bet on him, and it was a pretty good bet right there because he was a sizable underdog. And he's a good forward of Melsik Baghdasaryan because he's a former high school wrestler. He's a strong grappler. He moved his training camp to Factory X full-time prior to his last fight, and it looked like it paid dividends. He improved his striking. He has a long, wide stance, good movement. And he likes to backfire to the cage with feints. He then uses his combinations. He has hard calf kicks. He has a really nice lead left hook. And he will attack with hooks, uppercuts when he backs fighters up. He'll throw the big overhand right. I don't like the way Anglin will back up in a straight line with his hands low, though. He will also pull his head back. And I could see Melsik getting the read on that and making him pay. Anglin, has had a slow start in several fights. I watched a fight of his against a guy in Wolf Frost who was a 1-1 fighter, but I will say Wolf Frost had a super extensive amateur career, and he was able to land some big shots on Anglin. Anglin doesn't check low kicks either. He ate a lot of them against Naimov, and he ate some big shots in that fight as well. He definitely has a great chin. He could take it, and his durability, his pace, his pressure are going to be crucial here if he's going to get the win. And he's grappled. He grappled more than ever in his last fight. He needs to do that again in this one. He has good movement, feints, backfires to the cage, and then he shoots in on him, clinches him up, and he had a lot of success controlling Naimov in the clinch. He had some nice body lock takedowns and showed a good ability to take the back in the scrambles, which I think is going to be something that he's going to need here. Melsik does give his back to stand up. And Anglin was able to just really take the early damage from Naimov, create grappling situations, and then outlast him. And this is the same thing he needs to do against Melsik to get the victory. He was able to seal rounds with big moments on the ground as well, big ground and pound, good submission attempts. He doesn't have a ton of fights where he showed his grappling off, but he is the superior grappler here. He is the guy with the better cardio. He trains at elevation, so he needs to push that pace. And, he doesn't have any submission wins as a pro, but this is a fight where I could see him potentially getting a submission. Both of these fighters are young in their careers, and they fought very low-level competition mostly. Their last wins on the Contender Series were really the only wins over real competition in MMA. It's a very competitive fight, in my opinion, because both guys are going to be improving quickly, and they've shown that. They've both been getting better every performance. Anglin's defensive striking has improved a lot, and he's proven he could take a big shot. Baghdasaryan is a different type of striker, though. He's going to be looking to take his head off. So, I see Baghdasaryan trying to work his leg kicks, feints, and that straight left. He needs to try to go first, not let Anglin back him up where he can get his wrestling going. And if he can feint to draw out the bad tendencies of Anglin, he can counter those, make him pay. I also think early on in the clinch, Baghdasaryan is going to be able to compete, and he needs to try to attack the body, slow down Anglin, put damage on him, get him to kind of be discouraged to shoot that takedown. Attacking the body needs to be a huge part of the game plan here for Melsik. And Anglin just needs to push the pace. If he takes shots, eat them and keep coming. Try to clinch, grapple as much as possible. If he can get the takedowns, he's going to be, able to likely take the back or get into a dominant position, in my opinion. And I'm just going to go and take the underdog shot again on Anglin here because I've seen him eat some huge shots. His chin definitely checks out. If Melsik knocks him on the first round, it is what it is. But I think he's durable enough to take Melsik to deep waters, force grappling exchanges, make it ugly. If it stays standing or at range, Melsik will probably dominate the fight though. But Anglin is going to be, weary of that. He's going to grapple early, and that's going to make the striking more competitive as well, just like it did in his last fight against Muhammad Naimov. I just think Collin Anglin is a more complete fighter. He's going to be able to have the cardio advantage as well. Durability is going to be a big factor. I think he's going to take some shots early, be able to come back late, and either get a submission win, TKO win on the ground, or pick up a decision. So give me Collin Anglin to get the win. And up next here we got Nicco Montano taking on Yanan Wu. This is the main event of the prelims, and hopefully we get to see Nicco Montano back in the cage, man. She's one of the most maligned champions in UFC history. She's going to be trying to kind of embark on the second chapter of her career here, and hopefully we get to see her in the octagon. She, since winning the belt, 7 of her 8 UFC fights have been canceled. So, she's had 8 fights scheduled. She's only been able to fight 1 time. And her only fight since December of 2017, which is almost 4 years ago at this point, was over 2 years ago against Juliana Pena. So she's taken another, 2-year plus layoff. She hasn't gotten a win in almost 4 years. So this is a must-win here for Nicco Montano. And Yanan Wu is in a tough situation herself. She's gone 1-3 in her first 4 UFC fights. And this is no easy task here, getting thrown in against Nicco. She is only 25 years old, so theoretically she should be improving quite a bit, but it doesn't really show in her performances. She's still super green. Outside of Lauren Murphy, the best fighter Wu has beaten record-wise is 1-0. And Wu's also 2-0 outside of China. This is going to be her first fight in North America, so there's a lot of first for Yanan Wu, and I just don't really see her necessarily being on UFC level. But, training out there at Tiger Muay Thai, her striking isn't bad, and she is going to be, the bigger girl here. She's going to have a height advantage of 3 inches, probably, be a little bit more physically stronger, but her striking just isn't that great. She doesn't really use her jab. She really just kind of tries to counter with the left hook. She'll throw the left hook right cross combo. She, likes to throw those 3-2s and 2-3s. That's really it. She'll throw some low kicks, oblique kicks, some switch kicks, side kicks sometimes, but she doesn't really set her kicks up. I don't really think they're that dangerous. Her defense is not really that good, and when she gets hit, she's the type of girl that, wants to get it back right away, get into a brawl, and that's where she's most dangerous. I mean, just don't give her that brawl. Don't stay in the pocket with her. Move. Use your, superior footwork, striking, speed, touch her, and then get her to kind of overextend, then take her down. All 7 of, Yanan Wu's finishes by KO/TKO came against fighters with 0 wins. So it's a little bit deceiving to say that, she's a power hitter. And she seems hesitant to try to get inside. She had some weird reactions to getting hit against Gina Mazzani. She has been finished by strikes before in the past. And she's good in the clinch. I mean, she will dirty box, mix in some knees and elbows. But she always tries to, get the overhooks in the clinch. I've noticed that. And I really feel like Nicco's going to be able to easily dominate the clinch control with the underhooks, put her against the cage, hit some takedowns probably. And, Wu, if you see her fights where she fought Yana Kunitskaya, Gina Mazzani, she gets taken down pretty easily. In her fight with Lauren Murphy, she did get taken down and was able to quickly, throw up an armbar and get the finish. But against Nicco Montano, if she gets put on her back, I think she's just going to get smushed, dominated. Nicco is clearly, a superior grappler. I think she's probably the best grappler that Yanan Wu has ever faced. Yanan Wu, if you watch her last fight against Jocelyn Edwards, she looked lost in some of those grappling exchanges. She didn't look like she really knew what she was doing. It seemed like she was very kind of green. So I do think that, Nicco's going to be way, way above her in terms of the grappling. And even on the feet, Montano has pretty good lateral movement, good feints. She cuts angles. She'll switch stances. She has a good jab, good left hook. She has pretty good kicks as well. I feel like she's even the better striker. And, I just think she's much stronger in the clinch. She has a good wrestling game. She catches kicks well, good double leg. In top position, she has good elbows, good ground and pound. She isn't really a submission threat, but, she just does a good job of controlling the position. Even in her fight with Juliana Pena, she was able to hit some takedowns and was able to, grapple with a really good grappler in Pena, even though Pena kind of took over the fight. I feel like Wu is just not on this level, man. I think that Nicco Montano, if she comes in looking anything like she used to, she's going to dominate this fight. It'll be a good re-entry, and it's a good spot for her to get the win. So give me Nicco Montano. I think she's just a little bit better everywhere, and I think her grappling is going to be the key to victory for this one, though. And kicking off the main card, man, we got Bryan Bam Bam Barberena. He's kind of a staple of these, fight night main cards these days. He's really fun action fighter. He kind of took a little bit of a layoff after suffering a couple of losses back-to-back, but came back against Anthony Ivy, and, he performed okay. I think he kind of got some rust off. Hopefully he looks better in this one. But Bryan Barberena, we all kind of know how he fights. He's another southpaw. He comes in and, he likes to get in your face, force pocket brawls, and he has big power. He has underrated punching power. He's dropped a lot of guys in the UFC, and, he's been in there with some high-level guys and really, really pushed them hard. So he's someone that, on the feet, he's a tough customer. And then, Jason Witt, he is someone that is more of a wrestle boxer. His striking is not very good. He doesn't really, control range very well, and his chin is just really bad. So it makes him, really kind of susceptible to getting knocked out. So he wants to get this fight to the ground 100%, work his, his grappling, his top game, and try to win that way. But how I see this fight going down, really, with Witt, on the feet, he really just kind of looks for that big overhand, and, he just tries to get you to the ground. He has a good single leg, and he does a good job chaining the single to that body lock and then kind of hitting that outside trip. That's really something that he mainly goes for all the time in all his fights. So definitely have to be kind of looking out for that if you're fighting Jason Witt. Witt will, attack with a good double leg as well. And then when he gets on top, he's more just about, using, short punches, elbows, controlling. Not a big submission threat, not a big finish threat in top position. He will, if you give him the back, he can hit the rear naked choke. He's hit a couple arm triangles, but not going to wow you with his jiu-jitsu or anything. He's just a grinder, a good wrestler, and that's his game. With Barberena, he's just going to be wanting to try to close that gap, sprawl and brawl type of style. Maybe uses inside leg kicks, outside leg kicks. He throws some hard kicks, but I feel like maybe in this fight he should try to keep it more boxing oriented, because Witt is going to be trying to take him down. Try to land that right hook. He has good hooks in the pocket, really good uppercuts. If he lands clean on a guy like Jason Witt, he's probably going to be able to put him down. He has big power, good cardio, quick hands, good combinations, and he just does a good job of imposing his will on guys, backing them up, forcing them to fight in a phone booth. Grappling-wise, I feel like Barbarena, his takedown defense isn't the best, but in his last fight with Anthony Ivy, even though he got taken down quite a few times, Ivy's a good grappler. I feel like he's more athletic and, probably a better grappler than Jason Witt. And Barbarena's takedown defense looked improved. It looked like he'd been kind of working on that a little bit. And it's just, with Jason Witt, man, you got to always be worrying throughout the whole fight that he's going to get touched on the chin in one time and get knocked out. And I kind of gave Jason Witt the benefit of the doubt. His last fight against Matthew Semmelsberger, I picked him to get the win, and man, he made me look dumb, man. He got knocked out really quickly, and it's just tough. I don't think he's going to be able to grind out a guy like Bryan Barberena for 3 rounds, just hold him down. I don't see him getting the submission, and I just feel like Barberena is going to catch him at one point, knock him out. I don't think Jason Witt's chin is going to hold up, and got to go with Bam Bam Bryan Barberena in this one. And moving along on the main card here, the next fight we got is Ryan Benoit taking on Zarrukh Adashev. And Ryan Benoit, he couldn't really get off the schneid in his last fight. He lost for the 2nd time in a row, 3rd time in his last 4 fights. And he's been in the UFC for a while, but he's only 3-5 in his 8 UFC fights. Not really had a lot of success. In this fight, he's going to be fighting a guy who he should have a big edge over in a lot of ways. He has more UFC fights than his opponent has total fights. It's actually the 2nd time Benoit has fought someone with 6 fights or less in the UFC, which in the modern era I bet is very rare, but Benoit faced Freddie Serrano, who was 3-0 at UFC 201, won by split decision. And he's a forward pressure striker. He has a lot of power. He has a big right cross, power right kick. And he's more of a counter striker. He likes to counter with that straight right or the left hook. Keeps the pressure, good feints, good body kicks. His head kick is pretty dangerous. He does have a head kick knockout in the UFC. He has power. He has 2 knockouts out of his 3 UFC wins. So for a flyweight, that's pretty good. He's explosive. And he is static, though. He doesn't really have great movement. He doesn't check kicks. He's a little bit plotty. He definitely slows down. And he doesn't really have the greatest chin either. He's never been put out, but I've seen him hurt pretty badly against fighters such as Healy Alatang. And Ryan Benoit is not really an offensive grappler. He only has 2 takedowns in 8 UFC fights. He's worked hard on his grappling. He's brought in Gary Tonin, and he almost caught Tim Elliott in a leg lock, but he's always had average takedown defense. It's gotten better, and now he's a dangerous guard. In this fight, I just doubt there's going to be a lot of grappling. Benoit just doesn't have the cardio, in my opinion, to grapple hard for 3 rounds, so I don't think he's going to come in with that game plan. He definitely slows down in the 3rd round of even, low-paced fights. And Zarrukh Adashev, this is going to be his last opportunity. He's Uzbekistan prospect, and he did the UFC a favor by jumping in on very short notice for his first fight against Tyson Nam. And now they're doing him a favor by giving him a 3rd chance to get a win here. And to be fair to Adashev, in his last fight he did perform a hell of a lot better than he did in his debut. He came in shape, he was noticeably fitter, he was able to go 3 full rounds, he pushed a young rising prospect in Sumadarji. And Adashev isn't looking for a moral victory this time, though. He needs to prove he belongs, keep his job here. He's a very good striker. He has really good movement, fakes, feints. He closes the gap really quickly. Stance switcher. He's aggressive from southpaw. He comes forward with nice combinations. He has a really nice right hook. He likes to come forward with the right hook, straight left. He likes to throw that straight left right hook as well. And he will close the distance with the, with the straight right. And then he comes with the switch stance overhand with the overhand left, or he'll do it straight left switch stance overhand right. And he has fast hands. He flurries forward. He has nice punches, good hooks. He's dangerous in the pocket, rips the body. He has good kicks. He'll throw some leg kicks, body kicks, good spinning kicks. He can load up, though, and get a little bit predictable. And Tyson Nam was able to, time that and counter him. And Adashev, obviously isn't a great grappler. He has okay wrestling, good balance, good trips, good throws in the clinch. His takedown defense is pretty good in the clinch. And if you watch one of his fights against Ron Leone, that's really one of the only fights where you saw a lot of grappling. He was able to hit some takedowns, control on top, but, Ron Leone had non-existent takedown defense. I doubt that Adashev will try to take down Ryan Benoit. If he does, he's going to be in danger of getting submitted here. Tevin Dice, who is a BJJ brown belt, Adashev was able to out-wrestle him as well, out-grapple him in one of their fights, so that is something that's good. But he was submitted by a rear naked choke in his MMA debut, and he's going to need to be careful again in this fight. I think that he does have pretty good defense and a solid chin, but for whatever reason, the UFC is insistent on putting him in there with some of the hardest-hitting flyweights in the division, and all three of Adashev's opponents in the UFC have had one-shot KO power. I expect this to mainly be a striking fight. Adashev is going to have the speed, the footwork advantage. Benoit is more flat-footed. He's static. He's methodical. He moves in a range, feints, looks to counter, low volume. And that could lead to him being in a lot of very close fights, which it has, and he's won some and lost some. He likes to look for the counter, too, or his big right kick to the body or the head. And Adashev is going to be throwing a lot more, in my opinion. I think the leg kicks for Adashev, the cardio, I believe, are going to be a factor. I think Benoit is a little bit slower, and he's going to get frustrated by Adashev moving and kicking him. I see him getting more wild, and that's where I think Adashev is going to be able to time him, set up some counters. I also think that Adashev is the more durable fighter. I think that Benoit could maybe try to switch it up and wrestle in this fight. If he gets it to the ground, he should have an advantage, but I don't really see him doing that. I think it's going to play out on the feet, and I just see Adashev being the faster fighter, having better footwork. I think he's going to be able to rack up some low kicks, land some nice blitz switch stance combinations, maybe hurt Benoit a couple times with some counters. And I could even see Adashev putting Benoit out as well in this fight. So I think Zarrukh Adashev is a good pick here to get the win. This next fight's a short notice fight. We got Niklas Stolze, who is going to be accepting the short notice bout against Jared Gooden. And Niklas Stolze is an all-rounder. He isn't really great at anything, but he's pretty good at all aspects of MMA. He's a technical striker. He has a really nice jab. He has a good straight right hand. He does a good job using lateral movement, straight punch counters, and you also pressure forward behind feints, try to draw out strikes to counter. Stays very calm in exchanges, which makes him dangerous. He's willing to stay in the pocket. He picks his shots well, and he throws hard calf kicks, which he was effective with in his last fight. He likes to look for that lead switch kick to the head, which also I feel like in this fight is maybe a read that he could get and potentially land. In his last match against a wrestler, he attacked really effectively with his knees, landed a nasty knee to the head in the first that stunned Amiv. And he doesn't have big power, but he keeps it sharp, tight, and sometimes he could stay looking in the mirror a little bit too much and kind of get hit with counters. And he can also just stay, he just stays in front of fighters too long where he can get hit. Ramazan Amiv was able to land some big punches in the second and the third round, but overall Stolze has pretty good movement, defense. He's never been finished by strikes. He's a good grappler. He has 5 submission wins. He will look to mix it up. Good timing on his level changes. He has good striking. He will shoot well under his combinations. And he even was able to take down Ramazan Amiv in their fight. Had some, not really any control time, but, kind of show that he can mix it up. On top, he's usually just looking for control, though, to win minutes. He's not really that dangerous with the submission game. He is dangerous if fighters give their backs. Most of his submissions come via rear naked choke. He has a good takedown defense, and he proved that against Ramazan Amiv, but he will jump on guillotines, and he did that a couple times, which did lose in the position against Ramazan. When fighters do take him down, though, he's very hard to hold down. He will also attack off his back. He has an active guard. And in the past, fighters were able to take him down and control him, but it seems he shored up that area of his game a little bit. He did slow down pretty significantly against Ameev, and I don't know if that was due to him jumping in on short notice, but hopefully his conditioning has taken a step up and it's improved here. Stolze is 3-4 in decisions, so it's kind of a iffy proposition though if he goes to the scorecards. But Jared Gooden, he's decided to take a risk, jump in here on short notice. His UFC career hasn't really gone as planned thus far. He's lost his first 2 UFC bouts in the organization. His last fight against Abubakar Nurmagomedov got dominated pretty badly and kind of embarrassed. And Jared Gooden, he's a very big welterweight though. He's built like a tank. He has a 77-inch reach. He's good on the feet. He's a pressure fighter. He has some pop. Nice long straight right hand. He'll try to work that left hook. And he's good at sticking in the pocket. And even if he gets hit, he'll return with hard 2s, hard 3s. And sometimes it surprises and stuns his opponents. He's good at keeping his hands low, working the jab, trying to pull fighters into his counters, which he tried to do in his last fight. But sometimes he will load up. And he does have big power. He's brash. He'll try to get guys to trade with him. And he won't mix it up. Sometimes, throw like Superman punches, spinning attacks, flying knees, but really mainly a boxer. And he has predictable forward and backwards movement. Doesn't really move his head off center line. He could stand straight up and down, which limits his movement, exposes his chin, makes him very susceptible to jabs, to straight shots. And Gooden will get hit with some clean, huge shots. Durability is there, but eventually that ability is going to wane. And Alan Jouban had a ton of success with his left kicks to the legs, to the body as well. Gooden doesn't really defend kicks very well, in my opinion. He has a tendency to, when fighters back him up, to just keep his back on the fence, look to counter, and that's gotten him teed off on, against the cage in more than one fight. Gooden has been finished by strikes against a middleweight in Bruno Oliveira, and he has 7 knockouts himself. He's a decent grappler. I mean, he uses his size well. He will try to, mix it up and, level change, hit some takedowns. He's good in the clinch with dirty boxing, but, I feel like he's not really going to be able to get his grappling going in this one due to the movement of Stolze. He isn't really an active wrestler anyways. I feel like if he mixed it up more, it would really help his game, but I don't see him being able to take down a guy like Stolze. And he has to be careful not to overextend in order not to get taken down himself. He has good cardio. He needs to try to push the pace in this fight, stay in Stolze's face, maybe try to tire him out, land a big shot in the later rounds that take him out. But he is coming here on short notice, so I think that makes that plan even harder. And I like Stolze in this matchup. I think that, he's a good mover. He's composed. He has a good straight shots down the middle, really good straight right hand, really good jabs, good low kicks. All those are going to be available for him against Jared Gooden. Stolze has the ability to mix it up as well. Good takedowns, good takedown defense. I think he has a big speed advantage. His composure, his fight IQ will help him not get into firefights in this one. And I think the low kicks are going to be a big factor. He will switch stances. I think from southpaw, his left kick to the body will be effective. The switch kick to the head is going to be available as well. And once he gets good and worried about the striking, that's when he can level change, hit the takedowns, get some points. I don't really see him getting a lot of control on top, but just giving Gooden something else to think about. Gooden did show some good elbows, good stuff from his back against Nurmagomedov in his last fight, and he is pretty hard to hold down. But with this being short notice for Gooden and Stolze having a full camp, I think Stolze is going to come in that much sharper. I think he should be in better shape coming in with the full camp this time, whereas his last fight, Stolze came in on short notice. So I just think he's clearly the superior fighter. I think he's more durable. He's never been, not more durable, but he's never been finished, so he's super durable himself. He may be more durable. That's debatable, but I don't really see Gooden being able to outstrike him or grapple him. Stolze, in my opinion, is either going to get that first round knockout, because we have seen Gooden take an extreme amount of damage in his first 2 UFC fights. He has been finished before, taking damage outside the UFC. But if he gets out of round 1, I kind of see Niklas Stolze kind of coasting to a decision win, getting the victory, and give me Niklas Stolze in this fight. And in this next one, really low-level women's fight, I don't have a lot of interest betting in this fight, so I'm just not going to give a really in-depth breakdown. But we got Gloria to Paula. She's a dangerous striker. She has a good jab. Her 1-2 is good. She's fast. She will rip the body. In the pocket, she's dangerous. She has power. But, she can get backed up to the cage. Her feet kind of just are nailed to the floor in certain fights. She doesn't really just, she just doesn't have a lot of good movement. Very plotty. She doesn't really throw a lot of kicks. She is a good kicker, though. She will throw some front kicks, round kicks, body, head. And she comes in there to bang. I mean, she has 3 finishes in her 5 wins with punches. She's durable. So she's one of these girls kind of, in my opinion, similar to like an Ariane Lipsky mold, where if you strike with them, you keep it on the feet and you stay in the pocket with them. You know, they're dangerous. She has good kicks. She probably has a speed. She's more speedy. She's not as powerful. And, you know, they don't really have grappling as well. I mean, she's not a great grappler. Paula, she, you know, gets taken down, controlled against the cage very easily. She'll always go for that tie clinch and go for knees, elbows, but it just gives up the, you know, the body lock takedown, the double underhooks. And, you know, she just goes forward and backwards in straight lines, doesn't really use a lot of lateral movement. Off her back, she isn't great. I mean, she will try to attack the armbar. She'll try to, you know, work leg locks. But that's about it. I mean, with Cheyanne Bays, she, you know, may try to take her down, but I think Bays, you know, she's more of a striker too. You watched her last fight with Montserrat Ruiz, man, that was pretty hard to watch, you know, where she just kind of got taken down, controlled in that scarful position for the whole fight with that head and arm throw. But she's a Taekwondo striker. She's going to be the much faster girl with the better movement, and she needs to just try to, you know, use her jabs, crosses, low kicks, strike, cut angles in this fight. When Gloria gets a little bit, you know, overzealous or tries to pressure hard, you know, get that double underhooks, put her against the cage, control her. You know, she's pretty strong there, and she will look for some reactive doubles on top. Bays is okay. I mean, she's not great, but, you know, I feel like she may be able to mix it up at some takedowns, control on top here too. She is at Extreme Couture for this camp, where I believe her last fight she was, you know, not training exclusively with any camp. It was more like her and her husband were just training. So I think she's in a much better situation. You know, she was in Texas, I believe, before her last fight. And I think she's going to look a little bit better here in this one. I feel like Gloria Paula, she's a dangerous striker if you give her the fight she wants. But if Bays is able to use her movement, you know, move around, mix it up, you know, get in the clinch, control her against the cage, maybe get some late takedowns to seal the rounds, that she'll be the winner in this one. I mean, I think the line could be closer, though. I don't really think Bays deserves to be a 2-1 favorite. Pretty close fight. Gloria Paula, you know, it's low-level women's MMA, so Bays' IQ I don't really trust. You know, she may go in there and brawl. She may get taken, or she may get the takedown, get armbarred. So Gloria Paula is the more dangerous girl, but I think Bays will be able to win the minutes and probably win the decision. In the co-main event, we got Kyung Ho Kang taking on Yahya, and, you know, Mr. Perfect Kyung Ho Kang, he's going to be making his comeback. He's been gone for 2 years. After he fought Li Pingwan, he broke his orbital, he hurt his back, and it just kept him out of commission. So now I guess he's back. He's ready to jump in the deep end of the pool. And he's taking on a veteran specialist in Yahya. But Kang, he's 33 years old, so I'm sure he didn't want to get an easy fight. I'm sure he didn't want to get a warm-up fight. He wants to get this win over Hani. And, you know, if you get a win over Yahya, you're probably going to fight a top 15 guy. So that's what he wants to do. And Kang, you know, obviously is the better striker. But Yahya, you know, he showed off his lethal jiu-jitsu again in March. He defeated Ray Rodriguez by arm triangle. Yahya's last 4 wins are all submission victories, and he obviously is one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters in the sport. Even at 36 years old, he's hard to beat. Since 2014, he's 7-2-1 in the UFC, and both of these guys, I mean, if you look at, you know, Kyung Ho Kang and Yahya's fights in the UFC, they've been kind of like, they've been fighting the bottom of the barrel type of competition. They haven't really been in there against high-level fighters, but I think that, you know, they're both pretty good fighters. You know, Kyung Ho Kang on the feet, he's very technical. He really just likes to look for the 1-2s, and he has pretty good front kicks, round kicks to the body. He will also throw some pretty hard low kicks. So, you know, that's what Kang kind of tries to do on the feet. He's more low volume, though. He doesn't really let off a lot. He actually, you know, is very low volume, like 2 strikes a minute. And that's what leads to him being in so many close fights. I believe every single decision that he's won in the UFC has been split decisions. I think he's only like 4-5 in decisions in his career. So, you know, he's not really someone that pushes the action and makes it very evident to the judges that he's winning the fight. And he also can get backed up, shell up instead of moving. And he's been dropped in quite a few fights in the UFC. But he has good recoverability. He's only been knocked out once. And he will, you know, eat shots, take the damage, then come back later on. His cardio is not the best, and he is primarily a grappler. So, I mean, that is interesting for this fight because he has really good timing on his body locks. He'll circle to the back, good rear naked chokes, good double leg. He's a very good wrestler, and he has good top control. He just likes to get in dominant positions, work elbows, and, he doesn't really have, great submission game, but he's big, he's strong for the division, he can hold you down, and he has good scrambling ability. Even if you put him on his back, he, is able to, sweep, get on top. He has 11 submission wins. He's calm. He has good submission defense. He's only been submitted one time. But this is a tough matchup in my opinion. And every single time Yahya fights, people overlook him because it's so ugly. He's getting older. He's getting up there in age. And I think people kind of try to find ways to think he's going to lose fights. But, it's a tough matchup for Kyung Ho Kang in my opinion because, Kang is a guy that likes to, have his space to strike. And when guys close the distance, he likes to grapple. And Yahya, he's a guy that doesn't really give you any space at all on the feet. He wants to close that gap, throw wild shots, all to try to get the takedown. He has a really good single. The single that he has is his go-to, and most guys aren't able to stop it. When he hits that single leg, he gets you to the ground. He puts you through, a ton of submissions. If you could survive, then sometimes he gets tired and then you can beat him, down the stretch, and that's how he's lost a lot of his fights. He doesn't really get finished. He's super durable. You can't finish him on the ground, obviously. And, he's just been in there for so long. He's such a veteran. He knows how to survive, but his cardio has always been a big question mark. He slows down significantly in certain fights. But Kyung Ho Kang, like I said, isn't really someone that pushes the pace. So Kang is, in my opinion, in this fight going to have to be able to scramble with Yahya, survive the early submission game, and then scramble, get on top, and win that way. That's how most guys have been able to beat Yahya. It hasn't been like Ricky Simone, he's a wrestler, was able to stuff the takedowns, keep it on the feet, outstrike him. But besides that, I mean, Joe Soto, he actually was getting outstruck by Yahya, had to, win with the grappling. He kind of tired Yahya out, was able to scramble with him, get on top, control him. And outside of that, I mean, those are his only 2 losses since 2013. So it's been quite a long time since, he's lost. And I'm going to go with Yahya in this one. And it's not a confident pick. I don't really have a great read on this fight personally. But I feel like, the line should maybe be flipped because Yahya has been the more active guy. He's been fighting recently. Kang hasn't gotten a win since 2019. And both these guys are a little bit older. Kang's almost 34 years old. He hasn't fought any really good competition at all. He hasn't proved himself. I feel like his takedown defense, it's good on paper. Like, he has good stats with his takedown defense. But if you go and watch him defending takedowns, I don't really think it's, that high-level takedown defense. And I feel like he also, has fought a lot of strikers. He hasn't fought any grapplers to really show that. I think Yahya is going to show that. I do feel like it's going to be tough to submit Kang, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to pick Yahya. But I feel like Kang is going to push that high of a pace, so Yahya is going to be able to get the takedown the first round, put him through a submission gauntlet. Maybe he won't get the submission, but he wins that round. In the second round, gets the takedown controls, and then kind of has to survive in that third, similar to the Barzola fight, but maybe Kang doesn't put it on him as much. I'm going to go with Yahya on this one, but like I said, I mean, I wouldn't bet on this fight. I think it's kind of like 50-50. Who knows? Kang coming back from multiple injuries. He's older. He hasn't fought anyone like Yahya, so it's not like you can pinpoint, a certain fighter and say, oh, he fought this guy, and that's how he's going to perform against Yahya. And, Kang has had tough fights with grapplers like Michinori Tanaka where he's been taken down and had to scramble, get on top to win that one. He lost to Chico Camus. So I feel like Yahya has a path to victory in this one. He's been more active. He trains at a good gym, American Top Team. He's, been ready to go. He's been wanting to fight these higher level guys, and he needs to pick up this win to get it done, but I'm going to pick Yahya here. And then finally, man, we got the main event. This is a pretty good fight right here. We got Uriah Hall taking on Sean Strickland. Middleweight fight. Pretty, important fight for the division. We got Sean Strickland, who's undefeated at middleweight so far. He's gone 4-0. He's, been able to defeat guys like Brett and Allen, finish them. So he's gotten some pretty big wins along the way. And he's looked good. I mean, he's kind of made a name for himself. He's been talking shit inside the cage. Has a fun style, comes forward, brings the war. So he's definitely, deserving of this main event slot, and he's going to be taking on Uriah Hall, who we've all kind of known about Uriah Hall for years. He's been one of the guys in the UFC that people thought right when he was on Ultimate Fighter, this is going to be a UFC champion, but couldn't really put it together, never really kind of, was able to string wins together, wasn't able to really have good performances, but now he's won 4 fights in a row. He's coming off of wins over Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman. I mean, however you want to take that for the version of those fighters that he fought. But obviously his last fight was very strange as well with that leg break from Chris Weidman. And I saw Chris Weidman potentially has to do another surgery, man. So all shout out to him, man. Big shout out. Hopefully he can come back and kind of recover from that. Obviously Uriah checked the kick, broke Chris Weidman's leg really early in the fight. We didn't really get to see much from that one, but Uriah got another win, picked up his 4th win in a row, and now he's, close to that top 5. If he can beat Sean Strickland, I mean, you got to give him like 1-2 more fights and then maybe a title fight if he can win those fights. So he's right there, but with Uriah Hall, you always kind of have to be a little bit weary which Uriah is going to show up. And looking at this fight, though, I mean, Sean Strickland's almost certainly going to be the fighter going forward here. That's Strickland's game. Uriah Hall likes to accept being on the back foot so he can counter and snipe anyways. So it's going to be the battle of the jab in this fight, I believe, as well. Both guys have really sick jabs. I think Strickland probably has the more consistent jab, but Hall has the reach, the speed. And if he can get his timing, he could be very effective with his jab as well. But Hall is going to be trying to walk Strickland onto these big hooks, overhands, big straight shots, his dynamic kicks. Strickland, he doesn't really move his head, and he stands tall, which is very dangerous against a fighter like Uriah Hall. We've seen another guy with a similar kicking game catch Strickland early with the spinning heel kick, finish him in Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos. And also look to attack with low calf kicks as well. He usually doesn't throw them, and who knows after the Weidman fight, man, if he'll even want to. But Strickland's heavy on that lead leg. They're there for him. And if Strickland, if he can get Strickland thinking low, maybe he can go high, get the head kick KO. But Uriah always struggled with pressure fighters when he can't land that kill shot, most notably in fights with Paulo Costa, Derek Brunson. And Sean Strickland isn't going to be as wild or crazy as those guys were with this pressure. I don't really think he's going to, have that type of same punching power either. But Strickland's going to keep the pace high. He's going to try to keep the jab, the 1-2, the 3-2s in Hall's face. He needs to break Hall with forward pressure, with volume. He can't let Uriah have that space to set up his kill shots from the outside. And, he just needs to stay consistent. His boxing in the pocket is going to be a lot better than Uriah. Uriah kind of doesn't really throw a lot on the inside. He doesn't like getting in exchanges. Strickland, to me, is the guy that is going to want to try to make it ugly as well if he can. Get it in the clinch, maybe try to dirty box a little bit. If he can time that double leg, get Uriah to the ground, he's going to be better on the, on the canvas. But ultimately, Sean Strickland, he likes to bring the wars, the fight for the fans, and I don't think he's going to be looking to grapple too much. He's just going to be trying to, stay in Hall's face and break him with the forward pressure, with the volume. And Uriah, he has to get his respect. He can't let Strickland just bully him around the octagon. He has to, land something big early. But, I think the way this fight's going to go is Strickland with his pressure, his volume, his boxing is going to be winning the rounds the minutes of this fight. And he's either going to get to Uriah Hall by that 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round and break him with the pressure, the volume, the boxing, and take him out. Or I think he's going to be winning the rounds, the minutes of the fight, and I think Hall's going to win it with his usual one-shot comeback KO. And, that could be with the spinning heel kick, that could be with the straight, that could be with, just a regular head kick. The thing is, with Strickland's style, just coming forward, he stands pretty tall, his chin is exposed. Eventually someone might exploit that and hit a big knockout on him. So Uriah Hall is the type of guy to do that. He definitely is live to get that done. And I do think the line is a little bit wide in terms of the money line. I think that should be a little bit closer. I think Hall deserves a little bit more respect. He's always dangerous. He's always in there. But I'm going to go with Sean Strickland. I'm going to pick him to just be able to, break Uriah Hall with this pressure, stay in his face, use the jab, back him up to the cage, land combinations, get in the clinch, get him a little tired. And once Uriah starts slowing down, I think Strickland's going to pick it up and take him out. I don't see this fight going to decision either way. I think either Strickland's going to take him out or Uriah's going to get the knockout. So I think someone's getting knocked out in this fight. It should be fun to watch. But I'm going to go with Sean Strickland here. That's the main event breakdown. So thanks for watching, guys. This was UFC Fight Night Hall vs. Strickland. I broke down the full card from start to finish, told you about every single fight. As far as my parlay of the week and my most confident pick goes for this week, my parlay is going to be Rafa Garcia and Niklas Stolze. My most confident pick of the week is going to be Rafa Garcia. And for the underdog pick of the week, it's going to be Collin Anglin. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to hit that like button. I want to try to get some engagement on this video, so hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, I have a lot of content coming out on the Patreon this week, so if you guys want to support that, go to the link in my description. I'm going to be putting it in the pinned comment as well. We're going to be having a video coming out for Bellator. It's a huge card for them. AJ McKee is going to be taking on Patricio Pitbull. They're also going to be having some other good fights in that card, and there's also an ex-MMA card as well with John Dodson fighting on there, some other good fighters. They also have an LFA card this week, so there's a ton of action that we can bet on. Going to be giving you guys some bets for UFC. Already have some on there. Already have some bets for ex-MMA, so make sure to check out the Patreon. Definitely, I always appreciate all you guys' support on there. And other than that, everyone have a good day, man, and hopefully you enjoyed the video.